Hey guys, this is Corey from Redefining Strength. Welcome to the Fitness Hacks Podcast. This is the show where I share all my free workout and nutrition tips. I'm not going to ever fill this episode with sponsorships or ask you to buy anything. All I ask in return is if you're enjoying the podcast to leave a review or leave a 5-star rating. Or even better, share it with someone you think it might help. This will only take a few minutes and would mean the world to me and possibly change the life of someone you know. So let's jump right in. Your all or nothing attitude is why nothing has ever worked. And if you're thinking right now is not the right time to start something, you're wrong. Right now is the perfect time to start something because things aren't necessarily going perfectly to plan or you have other priorities. And this is really the power of the 1%. When we make changes, we wait for that perfect time. We think we need to do everything all at once. And this ultimately is what sabotages us because not only are we designing for an ideal time, which most of life isn't really, but we're also doing so much all at once, we ultimately overwhelm ourselves. It's why we might have thought in the past, like, I just don't have the willpower. Someone must have more willpower than I do. I'm just not disciplined. We never allowed that to actually build by meeting ourselves where we're at. So we have to remember that small changes can yield big results when they snowball over time. And we get good at what we consistently do. So in terms of the power of the 1%, if you're thinking it's not the right time, you have other priorities, own them. Assess what they really are. Look at your lifestyle and break it down. And then say, what is something so silly simple on the worst of worst days I could do it? Because the more right now isn't the right time to start, it is the right time because you can plan for what life is really going to throw at you. You can make changes that you can actually become disciplined with because they're based on what you need and need right now. So often we do even get stuck, in January making changes and then not assessing what we'll need during the summer, during the holidays next year. And that's why we create habits that don't work. We don't allow them to even evolve, even if they do work for a specific time of year. Because as our body, our needs and goals change, not only over the years, but even over the course of a single year, the exact habits we do and how we implement them will need to shift and evolve. But the more we've created discipline through 1% changes off of where we are currently, the more we'll have sort of that higher foundation. Our lows will be less low. So if right now feels like the wrong time, really look at, on my worst of worst days, what can I do? Can I drink a little bit more water today? Can I, track my protein and increase it by 10 grams at one meal, just adding an egg into one meal? Can I do a 5-minute workout? I like to think of this approach even as the 1-minute change. What can I do for 1 minute that can have an impact? And while it might seem silly today, that 1 minute, if you think about it, if you do 1 minute for 365 days, that's 365 minutes. That's like over 6 hours of change that you've done. And a lot of times through that 1 minute, we don't stop at 1 minute. You don't go wash your dishes and do 1 minute. You usually finish the entire dirty dishes in the sink. You do everything that you should. When you start that workout for 1 minute, most of the time you do a whole workout. You do everything that you outlined. And the few times that you don't, you still did one thing and you usually feel more successful for it. You want to do more the next day. So there's really a build to it. But I want you to take the approach of what can I even do for 1 minute? Even if it seems very simple right now, because we have to remember that a lot of the power of change isn't in the actual action we're doing. It isn't in the habit in that singular instance. It's the success mindset we're creating. Because the more you do, the more you do. The more you feel successful, the more you want to do. As you see those results snowball, think about how motivating that is. Think about even the workout you didn't want to do. The one that you really, really just wanted to lay on the couch, not go do, and you did it anyway. You feel so good for overcoming that hard. So if you can get yourself to do 1 minute, not only will you do more, but you'll make a change that can allow you to build. And the more we meet ourselves where we're at, the more we're going to create that discipline. Because discipline is really built off of doing things consistently. And what we can do consistently is something that does feel really easy to start. The more we sort of try and just bust that comfort zone over pushing the limits slowly, the more we ultimately are relying on motivation and willpower, which are very fleeting. We're relying on things going well, all of our priorities being in line with this specific goal, which really honestly isn't most of life. So the more you can sort of sneak something in, almost feel like you're not making that change, the more you do become disciplined with it because it already feels more natural. And as you feel that success build, you become more willing. There's a less of a mental barrier against making bigger changes. You feel more comfortable being uncomfortable in more ways because you've seen that success and you feel yourself even becoming stronger and more confident in your ability to change. So I would really urge you, if you've had that all or nothing attitude, if you're at a time where you're like, well, now it's not the right time, Own the priorities you have. Own everything going on right now and plan for it instead of trying to wait for some perfect situation, because that's really what's so often kept us stuck, spinning our wheels, feeling like nothing will ever work for us. Off of this, I do want to announce my new 21-day challenges that are available through Cyber Monday. Shameless plug for them, but they are built off of the power of the 1% and those small changes done daily. Because the more we think, what's one thing I can do today? How can I build off that tomorrow? And the more we do that, the more we're going to unlearn old habits as we implement new ones and not just be relying on willpower. We're going to see those changes truly snowball because we're meeting ourselves where we're at. So whether you want to improve your gut health or kickstart your metabolism or manage the symptoms of menopause, I really want you to check out my 21-day challenges that are available through Black Friday till Cyber Monday. They will not be available after that, but make sure to check them out and really get started building towards the results that you want in a sustainable way, because we don't want to look good, feel good for one day. We want those results to last forever. Thanks for listening to the Fitness Hacks podcast. Again, this is the place where I share all my free workout and nutrition tips. I'm never going to run sponsorships or ask you to buy anything. All I ask in return is if you're enjoying the podcast to leave a rating or review or share it with someone you think it might help. This will only take a few minutes, and it would mean the world to me and possibly change the life of someone you know.